So as we prepare to become new parents, we're going to consider the environment that our baby is in at the minute whilst they're still growing inside of us within the womb. Let's think about this for a minute, and this really helps us as new parents begin to understand how we might help our babies feel safe and secure in a new world, and how we might begin to calm and settle them. I think a really big part of parenting is to trust your gut instincts as well. So as individuals you'll already have lots of means of how you might begin to settle and soothe and calm your baby. Birth is the last part of the journey of actually meeting this baby, holding them, seeing what they look like. So it's also important to know that as new parents, you know your baby already. You've felt them move inside of you, and perhaps your partner's had a feel of your tummy, felt them move as well. You've perhaps talked to your baby during your pregnancy, stroked your bump, been aware of all the baby's characteristics, times that they move around more, etc. So you know your baby already. Birth is just the last part of that journey. So let's think a little bit about the baby's birth environment inside. So how much space is in there? Well, typically as you're getting to 36, 37 weeks and nearer to your due date, there will be a little bit less space in there than there was much earlier in your pregnancy. Remember how important baby's movements are, so you should still feel baby's movements in that regular, reassuring pattern right up to birth and through the birth process itself. So as you're getting nearer the end of your pregnancy, any concerns that your baby's movements don't feel quite normal or feel reduced, it's really important that you act upon those. And hopefully you've already seen the video on reduction in baby's movements. So do come in and do get checked out properly. But space will become a little restricted the nearer you get to your baby's birth. So think about your baby tightly curled up inside there, and each time they're making a movement, they're coming into contact with the uterine wall. So space is going to become more restricted. Light, how much light is in there? Well, probably not a lot. Maybe baby has some kind of sense of light and then more shadow, but there's not going to be an awful lot of light in there. Water, so our babies are still surrounded in the amniotic fluid up till birth, and how this fluid alters what our baby might hear. So if you imagine perhaps swimming underwater and how we hear noises underwater, in a sense it might muffle a lot of noises, others it might amplify a little bit more. Blood glucose, so baby is not having to think about hunger needs. They've never experienced hunger in utero because mum's body is doing that for baby, and baby is getting that blood glucose inside. Warmth, temperature regulation. Again, mum's body is doing this for baby. It's not something that the baby is having to think about. Let's think of other words that perhaps describe our baby's environment in utero. So warm, safe, comfortable, familiar. Then let's think about those changes that are going to happen at birth. So we go past the early stages of birthing or the piece of string into 6 to 12 hours of more active birthing, and then the physical part of birthing our baby down the birth canal. And all of a sudden the baby's environment will literally turn on its head. So if you think most babies are going to be in a head down position prior to birth, and then after birth baby's sense of gravity completely changes and they're in this strange, unfamiliar environment. So one of the best things we can do following birth is to bring our baby into immediate skin-to-skin contact, because in skin to skin with mum or with a partner, so many of the things that baby knew and was familiar inside have been replicated to some degree in skin to skin. So by holding our baby close, noises will be familiar, such as our heart rate and our breathing rate, because those will have been noises our baby was used to hearing in utero. Holding our baby close also helps to restrict a little bit of their movement. I always liken this perhaps to our baby's been born and all of a sudden being put down into the cot and onto an unfamiliar hard surface. If we liken this to perhaps as an adult going into a deep sleep, and you just start to enter that state of deep sleep, and all of a sudden something jolts you awake and you sort of have that startle reflex, it must just feel the same for our baby to go from this familiar environment inside onto a strange, unfamiliar environment where they have space to move out into. And you can imagine the baby sort of stretching their arms out, and oh my gosh, there's nothing there. And that must just feel like the scariest sensation for our baby. So to bring them close and to pop our hands around them helps to give our baby a sense of being surrounded, of being not on an unfamiliar surface. Following birth, our bodies are warm, so bringing baby skin to skin helps to keep our baby nice and warm, helps to settle them, and helps them to regulate their own temperature. It also helps to settle our baby's heart rate and their breathing rate, to stabilise their blood glucose levels and help them to keep their stress hormones to a minimum as they know that they're close to us. Some parents choose not to have immediate skin-to-skin contact. Perhaps you want your baby cleaning off a little bit first, so do let us know this in your birth preference. But we would encourage you to have uninterrupted skin-to-skin contact with your newborn for around 1 to 2 hours following birth, ideally until your baby's taken that first feed, however you've chosen to feed your baby. After that first 1 to 2 hours of skin-to-skin contact, ideally with mum, it's then really lovely for your birth partners to have some skin-on-skin contact with your baby. But as we go through exploring how we might make our baby feel more calm, more settled in this new world, we will keep revisiting having some skin-to-skin contact, because as we've explored, it's going to replicate so much of what was familiar to our baby. Many babies don't settle easily away from parents for prolonged periods of time. They do feel more calm, more settled as they're close to us. By keeping your baby close and calm next to you, this is also going to have a calming effect on us as new parents. Helps us to release those feel-good hormones of oxytocin.